Recently I played through Batman Arkham Knight and I wanted to share my thoughts on it. Just to say, I will be discussing story elements from this game and previous games in the franchise, but I will try not to spoil things specifically. Arkham Knight is the third title in British developer Rocksteady's Batman series, and a fitting end for its studio's run with The Dark Knight. The game begins after the climactic events of Arkham City, which sees Batman kill the Joker and Gotham brace for the backlash of these events. I've got to say, after playing through the beginning of the game now multiple times, I really enjoy the opening sequence to the game. Also look out during the diner section for clues to the story's plot. The story's central theme is fear, and the game begins with Scarecrow using his toxin to drive people crazy and to see their worst fears. And it's because of his use of this toxin, yes, I'm going to be saying toxin a lot, that he drives people out of Gotham, and Scarecrow, a variety of Batman villains, thugs, and the mysterious Arkham Knight proceed to take over Gotham. Anyway, enough about story for now. One of the biggest new mechanics added to the game is the Batmobile, which has been seen in previous titles but has never been drivable, and this, according to Rocksteady, was due to the previous generation of consoles' hardware limitations, and is something they've wanted in the game for a while. I will say that at times the game often leans too heavily on the use of the Batmobile, and this is a sentiment I've heard a lot. The Batmobile itself is pretty much an unstoppable force against everything bar other vehicles, and the narrative often limits your use of the Batmobile, taking you to areas and places it cannot access. But I understand the reasoning for this. Honestly, as fun as driving around in the Batmobile is, with its switching from a car to a tank instantaneously, I still feel as though there is nothing as satisfying in the game than gliding over Gotham and the hand-to-hand combat. But you cannot make the same thing over and over. You have to change the formula of a game, so I understand why they did what they did, and besides, the Batmobile is a great addition to the series. Overall, the gameplay and story of this game are fun and enjoyable, and the environment and feel of Gotham is better than ever before. Being a Batman fan myself, you definitely feel part of this world, and it's a very submersive experience. As well as the external struggle Batman faces during this game, there is very much an internal struggle which I really liked, but I won't spoil that aspect of the narrative. An element of the game I really enjoyed was the fact that the GCPD station acts as a sort of home base for Batman, and as you play through the game, the cells inside the station become fuller and fuller with the enemies you defeat. What I also liked is that almost every side quest is tied to a Batman villain, some of which are slightly obscure, but I enjoyed these missions a lot. I'm also going to talk about the story some more, in particular looking at performance and voice acting. The voice acting in this game is amazing, as it always has been, and it certainly always harkens back memories to the Batman animated series, with the same voice cast being used in the game as in the series, with a few exceptions. What I also enjoy about this game is the amount of villains that feature in the game. There's a definite concentration on certain villains with the main storyline, but I appreciate each of the side quests and the villains associated with it. The game never fails to surprise me in this sense, but the story never feeling stale, and I can say that I enjoyed all the missions except maybe for the military checkpoints, watchtowers and mine missions, which I felt there was too many of and became a bit of a pain in the end. It was definitely great as well to get to play as many different characters, which has been an element within the game since the first, but one that was often only available through DLC or material access with a code. For example, the Catwoman storyline in Arkham City, which you could only play having bought the game new or paying extra and downloading it. In the game you get to play as Robin, Nightwing, Catwoman and others, and the dual team takedowns work very well with the already great combat system, and the seamless switching between characters is great. Lastly, I want to talk about drones. Probably my least favourite aspect of the game, as they're absolutely everywhere and can only be taken down by the Batmobile's guns. The game maybe sometimes leans too heavily on them. They can be infuriating at times and almost feel slightly out of place. Although many free-roam games do this, there's an island of Gotham that for a large portion of the early story you cannot get the Batmobile on, and there are many drones on the ground and in the air that will chew you up in seconds if they catch sight of you, making you at times feel like you can't be in the area, which comes with its own pros and cons. The game looks amazing on the consoles, I personally played it on the Xbox One, so I didn't have any of the issues the PC version has or had, and it's why I've not really spoken about them, because I feel like it's been covered enough by people that have had more experience with these frame rate and performance issues. Overall though, I would say I thoroughly enjoyed the game, not only for its narrative, but for its gameplay also. I particularly appreciate the finality of it, as so often games are left open-ended, narrative-wise, so there's always options for further games. Whereas I feel Batman Arkham Knight is different in this sense.